Hey YouTube, Saint Frank here. This week's episode of Hobby Talk is an episode that I didn't want to have to do, but I have to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Injuring his UCL, his ligament, that oftentimes leads to Tommy John surgery. And man, this has been a rough couple weeks for me in baseball card collecting. Just, two of the guys I do collect. I mean, I collect other guys too, but that short list of players I do collect. I mean, bad news last week, bad news this week. So this week's news is not as bad as last week's news, though. So Ohtani, he was pitching the first game of the doubleheader against, I think, Toronto. In the first game, he pitched a couple, maybe in his second inning he was pitching. He was noticing his velocity was down, and he's been having a tired arm, noticing some issues, and they took him in for an MRI and noticed that it just says a partial tear of his UCL. So they did not say how bad it was torn. It could be just a tiny little tear, or it could be just hanging on by thread. So I think if it was hanging on by thread, we would see some different things after that than we've been seeing. So Ohtani went ahead. He played the second game of the doubleheader. Didn't pitch, but hit a home run. So it was not affecting his batting. He actually said he didn't feel anything. It's just they were noticing his velocity was down. So this injury, they've shut Ohtani down from pitching for the rest of the year. Ohtani is going to go in for a second opinion on this injury, and maybe we'll find out more details about how severe this tear is in the ligament. But for now, he's still been batting, until he gets this second opinion. I mean, he's been doing great at the plate. He's been hitting triples, been hitting home runs, been stealing bases. It's been just absolute terror, just like he always is at the plate. But there's no more pitching the rest of this year. And now this is an if he has to have Tommy John surgery, this would be his second one, which it is much tougher for pitchers to come back from a second Tommy John injury than the first. And, there's a few playing right now that have, but it's a tougher uphill battle for sure. Now, there's no guarantee that Ohtani's going to have it done. He's going to have it checked out. Stay tuned. Watch your news feeds to find out. If this tear is worse than what I'm thinking, or if it is just something very minor that he can just rehab on during the off season and be back to regular Ohtani next year. But let's look at the scenarios. So the worst case scenario is that the tear is severe enough that he's going to have the second Tommy John, and for whatever reason the surgery does not take, and he'll never be able to pitch again. I mean, I'm talking, this is the worst case scenario. You have to consider this spray chart, if you collect Ohtani stuff. Because if he never pitches again, it will pretty drastically affect his card prices. If you're someone that buys and sells Ohtanis for money, to make money. I've sold a few, but they're just ones that I got duplicates of. Mainly I just collect Ohtani stuff. So, it stinks, that he's not going to be top level Ohtani the rest of this year. But I'm not like a flipper type collector. So these cards I have, like these ones on the table, these are not going anywhere. These are in my collection. So that's the worst case scenario. He'll still be able to bat. Let's say even throw more into it where Ohtani decides he doesn't even want to hit next year either. He just wants to completely take the entire year off, recover from the Tommy John, the failed Tommy John, I'm saying, and then come back as a hitter fully healed from the surgery in 2025. I think that's the absolute worst scenario. Now, if that does happen, there's going to be plenty of buying opportunities because a lot of his more expensive stuff will be much cheaper and his mid-level stuff will be affordable for a lot more people. So it could be an opportunity to get into some Ohtani cards if you're wanting to collect some, but not wanting to spend the peak prices. Okay. So now let's talk about what's the best case scenario. Okay, the best case scenario is he goes on and plays the rest of this year. He won't be pitching, but he just continues to play well and wins MVP. And after the offseason, they look at it and they decide that, hey, it's a very minor tear with some, some rehab work and some good medical attention. He can let this injury heal over the offseason and he'll be back starting next year, starting pitching. Or some type of pitching role. Maybe there's a lot of people that think that he would be the best closer in Major League Baseball if they moved him to that. We saw that in the WBC. Other people thought maybe he can have an opener for him. I don't know. I think he's either going to be starting pitching or he's going to be closing if he does pitch again. So, and then of course, this does not affect his hitting, until after once he heals up from the actual surgery, he can go back to hitting again. He just won't be able to pitch, So that was the best case scenario, is that he doesn't have to have Tommy John. He rests it. It gets back to everything's stable. He goes back to being Ohtani in 2024. Okay, what do I think? I think the scenario is going to be somewhere in the middle. I don't want to guess on the percentage of how much this tendon or the ligament is torn, but I mean, if I was just going to take a dumb YouTube channel guy a guess, I'm going to guess that it's probably less than 50%. I think if it's less than 50% torn, he'll rehab it. Maybe less than 25% torn. Anything over that, I could see Ohtani wanting to just have it done. Have the Tommy John surgery done, and he will be able to still bat next year, but he will not be pitching in 2024. And then he'll be back to, as full strength as he can get in 2025 pitching. But he'll still be batting. It is going to cost him a lot of money no matter what in this offseason because he's a free agent in the offseason. And, a fully healthy Ohtani would have been, who knows how much money, all the monies for Ohtani. With this kind of hanging over him, there's not going to be any signing until people know exactly what's going to happen with Ohtani. But there is a level of concern, of course, whether he needs surgery or doesn't. It will definitely affect how much that he makes as a free agent. Maybe that brings more teams to the table, if they know that they can get Ohtani for a little bit less. Man, I hope the Rangers are paying attention to this, because the Rangers definitely are not scared of signing guys that have had Tommy John surgeries. Trust me. So I would love for the Rangers to go all in and go get Ohtani and let him do whatever he wants. If the injury is not severe enough, to have a surgery. Let him do whatever he wants. Tell Ohtani, this is your team. You do whatever you want. We support you. So I'm pretty sure about any team is going to tell Ohtani he can do whatever he wants because everybody wants him. He's the greatest. He's Showtime. So what do you guys think? Well, I also wanted to address card collecting stuff. So one thing that there has been a dip in Ohtani prices. If the dip goes, let's say a bad scenario happens and he has to have Tommy John surgery and has to miss some time, including missing pitching all next year, there's going to be a pretty big dip in Ohtani prices. I'm not going to try to guess how much, but I'm going to be paying very close attention because there's several Shohei Ohtani cards that I would love to add to my collection, and that would be the time to do it because I believe in Shohei. He's got the internal drive that he's going to come back from this and be as good or better than he was before. You can just read that into him. He's awesome. So whatever kind of dip there is a couple cards I'm going to be pinpointing to try to pick up that I don't have for my collection. Here's the other scenario. If it's just a very minor tear and he doesn't need surgery, and everybody thinks he can come back strong. Let's say he signs with like the Dodgers. I would love for him to sign with the Rangers, but his card prices, if he goes to the Dodgers, would probably go up higher than they would going to the Rangers. Okay, we'll say he goes to a high exposure team and escapes this injury without missing much time. His card prices are still, I think, going to slide down over the off season, and then as spring training starts getting around and people are saying, "Oh, he's pitching this year, he's looking great," his card prices are going to go start marching back up. So your window is a lot shorter of buying into the dip if Ohtani shows signs that he's going to be pitching next year or that he's going to be playing, not missing any games. He might not pitch as much, but I think that's going to be temporary through this next year. 2025, I would be pretty sure that he's going to be peak Ohtani again. But that's me coming at you guys as a huge fan of Shohei, and I have Shohei bags. I have quite a few Shohei Ohtani rookies, and I've also graded some to help pay for some of these PSA orders that I do. So I do have that interest in Ohtani. So what do you guys think? How bad do you think this arm injury, the UCL injury is? Is he going to need Tommy John again? When is he going to be able to come back from that? Are his card prices going to just continue to go down, 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 and we've seen the highest prices his cards will ever be? Do you think he'll ever pitch again? Do you think that he's a Hall of Famer? I want to hear your guys' opinions on Ohtani. And, man, I hope we have a good week of news this upcoming week in baseball, man, because it's been a rough two. Everybody, stay cool. Have fun collecting. That's the number one thing, guys. Even when bad things happen to our players we like, you still got to have fun with stuff. Enjoy the hobby. All right. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos later.